Here's a good one. According to a Cornell law professor, Massachusetts Senate candidate Elizabeth Warren doesn't have a license to practice law in that state, Massachusetts. All rise. The judge, Andrew Napolitano, is here. Now, if she, let me back up for a second. It is also stated in a newspaper that Elizabeth Warren, as a professor of law at Harvard University, gave advice to a steel company, advice that was really doing down the unions, trying to get $100 million out of their benefit package. If she doesn't have a law license, how could she operate as a professor, as a legal advisor on a bankruptcy case?
It's a great question, Stuart, and a little bit of background. It is not uncommon for full-time professors of law at accredited law schools, of which, of course, Harvard is the summit, not to have a license to practice law in the state where the law school is located. Law professors frequently move around, and they maintain a license in the place in which they were first licensed. So it is not unusual. I wouldn't be surprised if half the Harvard faculty is not licensed to practice law in Massachusetts. So what can she do in Massachusetts? Well, she could give legal advice to Harvard University, because you can give legal advice to your employer even if you and the employer are in a state where you're not licensed. She is an expert in bankruptcy law. Let me stop by saying it pains me to defend her, because I think she's a lunatic. However, to be fair to her and to be fair to the law,
a little harsh there, Judge.
Right, she's an expert. Well, she's a lunatic for the argument she made that no one acquired wealth on their own because they walk on a public sidewalk. That's an absurd argument. Nevertheless, that's a political argument. But she's an expert in bankruptcy law. She truly is one of the country's experts in bankruptcy. That's in federal court. You do not need a license to practice law in a state in which the federal court sits, as long as that federal court admits you. So if she, from time to time, not on a full-time basis and not as her regular source of income, but from time to time, gave advice to corporations on bankruptcy law, federal court, she can do that.
So she doesn't have any kind of legal or ethical problems because she doesn't have a law license in Massachusetts.
Well, again, it depends on
probably
what
not the issue.
If, for example, she said on the stump, I'm a Massachusetts lawyer, she's got serious problems. If she went into a Massachusetts state court on her own and represented to a judge that she's licensed in Massachusetts, she has serious problems. But if she went into a federal court in Boston and did not tell them that she's not licensed in Massachusetts, she would have serious problems. There's no evidence, of which I'm aware, that she did any of those things.
But she's got a huge political problem if she was representing a steel company which was taking hundreds of millions of dollars worth of benefits away from unionized workers in a bankruptcy situation.
She absolutely does, and
That's huge.
I'm sure that Senator Brown is going to exploit that problem in the next couple of weeks.
And she has the ongoing political problem of claiming minority status, which got her a job as a Harvard law professor on the grounds that she is a Native American, which she has not thus proved.
That could also be a legal problem for her, because if that is inaccurate...
Wait. Are you saying that high cheekbones isn't enough evidence, Judge?
If it's untrue, it's fraud.
You mean Nana, her grandmother's word for it isn't enough?
Even though we're talking about a place where this gets you ahead, ethnicity gets you ahead.
Yeah.
I always thought in America we're supposed to be blind to these things, but at Harvard, ethnicity gets you ahead. If it's not true, think about this. It's a material misrepresentation intended to get someone to rely on it. You know what that's called? Fraud.
You know what that's called, your sense of humor? Sarcasm.
Yeah. Let me just throw one more word out there, hypocrisy.
I got all those jokes.
Now spell it.
W-A-R-R-E-N. No.
A lunatic.
Oh, that's harsh. Now that's name calling. I'm surprised at you, Judge. She is a socialist, okay? Let's get it straight.
She's nuts.
She's a socialist now, but
I will defend her right to go into federal court in Boston.